Hey everybody, so I wanted to talk briefly about Artboards in Illustrator. So again, we're looking at Illustrator Creative Cloud 2014, but this is true for CS6 that we have in the labs right now. So let's say, for instance, I created my poster design in Illustrator in an 18 by 24 document. And so down here in your palette, you have Artboards, or if they're not there, you can go to Window, Artboards, and open those up. And so you can see I've got one artboard, and what the artboard is this bounding box around my document. And so when I originally created my document as a new document, I set the artboard size by creating a width and height, or created a custom document. So letter 8.5 by 11, legal 8.5 by 14, tabloid 11 by 17, etc. So this artboard is 18 by 24, and we can double click on the artboard and it'll bring up this information and show us that the width is 18, the height is 24, and it's oriented in portrait mode. You can change it to landscape mode. You can see how it changes here in the back, but we don't want to do that for the way that we have it designed. So I'm going to hit cancel, and so let's say we want to move on to our postcard design. Well, postcards are, at least the postcards that we're going to be designing for this project, are 4 by 6. So I'm going to click New Artboard, and by default it's going to make me another artboard that's the same artboard size as my first page. So I can either double click in here and change this to 6 inches wide by 4 inches high, and it'll create my postcard size, or I can hit cancel. There's an artboard tool in your tool panel. Click on that, and you can scale this down to the correct size. There's a width of 6. And a height of 4. So as you can see, the more exact way would be to click the new artboard tool and make a new artboard. So I'm going to click undo here. Another way of creating an artboard is, let's grab a rectangle shape. We'll double click and we'll make this 6 by 4 and click OK. And we'll position this wherever on the canvas. Let's make it even with the top here. I'm going to copy that because we'll want this here in a second. But so you click on this, you go to Object, Artboard, Convert to Artboards, and now this is your artboard, as you can see down here. Go back to my first artboard and zoom out. So you know which artboard you have selected because you get this black outline. Otherwise, it's a gray outline around each of the artboards. So I'm going to paste that 6 by 4 design again, and I'm going to go to Object, Artboards, Convert to Artboards, and so now I've got my two postcard designs, so my front and my back. And so let's say here we want to do our billboard as well. So let's create a new page, and let's say our mock-up is 11 inches wide by 8.5 high. Again, your mock-up should be letter size, 11 by 8.5. That can either be long or tall. And so we've got our other artboard here. I'm going to kind of space it out evenly with the postcard designs and go to Object, Artboards, Convert to Artboards. Now, if you get easily confused as I do, you can go in here and name your artboard. So let's call this one poster. Let's call this one postcard front, postcard back, and billboard. So actually, to back up a little bit, the way that you'd be submitting your billboard for this project would be on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. But maybe you just want to design your billboard for a smartboard mockup, or a smart object mockup. So let's start a new artboard. Actually, no, let's do the same method that we did. So in the Smart Object tutorial that I did, the billboard was 1200 pixels by 400 pixels. So we're currently working in inches. So I'm going to open up my ruler tool by hitting Command R and right clicking on that. Let's change that to pixels. And so now when I double click my rectangle tool, I've got a pixel width. So let's do 1200 by 400, click OK. And object, artboard, convert to artboard. And so let's call this one billboard mock. And let's call this one billboard design. And so we'd create our billboard design in here, and maybe we would drag that into to Photoshop to have a smart object linked into that for our billboard. Okay, so now let's talk about submitting. So we're going to submit our poster design at 18 by 24 and our billboard design in our mock-up at 8.5 by 11. And we want our postcard design on an 8.5 by 11. So let's convert this back to inches. We'll do a width of 8.5 and a height of 11. And we'll go to Object, Artboards, convert to Artboards. And we'll call this postcard submit. But we don't want to do double the work. We don't want to create the postcard over here in these artboards and then create a layout for it later. That would be silly. Meaning that I would, do my design here and bring in shapes and pictures and all sorts of layout, and then I'd create it here, and then I'd have to go, well, this is about this big here, so I should probably make a box that has an outline, and I'll put this behind everything, and let's grab it and group it, and then we'll copy it, and then we'll paste it over here, and we'll line it up just right. I mean, you could do that if you wanted to, but that seems like a lot of extra work. So what we can do instead is, using the Artboard tool, we can grab our postcard front, and we can line it up here so that it's centered in our postcard submit design, and same with the postcard back. And there we go. So now we can just create our postcard design, and our align to artboard will work correctly for our postcard design if we want to use that option out of Illustrator for both the front and the back. But then when we're submitting everything, we can just highlight the art or the postcard submit artboard back here and go to File, Save As PDF, and just select page number 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here are the page numbers on your artboards. So we just want number 6, and this is the postcard. And we'll click Save. And let's open that after we're done, just so we can take a look at it here. And so there's our postcard layout. So it might not hurt to, in this design, create orientation marks so that I would know where you would want your postcard edges cut, especially if you have bleeds. So the way to do that would be, and I'll just use this box here that I used for the outline, you would create a box the size of your artboard, which would be 6 inches wide by 4 inches high. Go to Object, where is it? Create trim marks. And so what that does is it creates these trim marks. So let's zoom in here so we get a better view. And we can delete that outline now. So we'll save out a new. Well, let's go ahead and do it for the postcard back as well. So we'll paste that in place. Object. Create trim marks. All right, so now I'm clicking on my postcard submit artboard. Go to File, Save As, PDF, range 6, name it postcard design. Yes, we're going to replace that because this is just a demo. And we're going to view the PDF after saving. And so now I've got a page where I have my crop marks for my postcard. Again, we probably wouldn't want to have this stroked box in here, so before we would export our PDF, we'd want to delete that. Okay, so that's how to use artboards in Illustrator. Essentially, they work just like pages. In fact, you can even, using this tool down here, move between each one of your artboards, just as they would be in pages. Very similar to how you navigate pages in InDesign. Okay, well, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.